So I remember back in sixth grade, beginning of sixth grade year, I had always been this quiet, shy kid. And I was known for that. As kids and friends grew up with me, there were some that were very close to me that I would confide in and talk to. But overall, I was still a pretty much shy, quiet kid. But something in sixth grade happened. I began to change. I began to transform in a certain way. I began to have more friends. I began to reach out more, put myself out there more. I gained a lot of confidence. And I really found that year that something that worked for me was humor. And I remember going overboard a lot of times. I was that guy who would get a laugh and then just keep going on and on and on to get more laughs until people were just sick of it and sick of me. But that's how I found my little niche. And I remember at the end of the year, the teacher would say something to the entire class, and he would go student by student to the sixth graders, especially because they were moving on to back then from sixth grade to seventh grade, it was going to junior high. And I know some schools now have middle school where it's sixth, seventh, and eighth. Some still are junior high system, seventh and eighth. But back then for me, going into seventh grade. And so the sixth grade teacher would go person to person. And he went to me and he said a whole bunch of, good things. I was a good student, all true. I was kind. And then he said, and, you were very quiet. And something interesting happened. The entire class cracked up laughing. They erupted in laughter. And I remember the teacher saying, well, at least to me you were, because at that time I was still kind of shy to adults. But that year I changed. I transformed. I went through a process to be different than I was. And so that's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast. We're going to talk about being transformed. Welcome to the Rodney Podcast. Okay, so this topic kind of came from a talk that I gave. As some of you know, I do teach or quote unquote preach at churches, houses of worship, faith-based organizations. And so usually when I do that, it's on a different level because I am a person of faith. I'm a Christian and I believe in God. And so when I teach about transformation, it's all about being transformed from the Son of God, from Christ. But for today, we're going to just kind of talk about it on a human level. And my hope is I'll leave a link in my description of the podcast. As you check that out, that you can kind of go back and listen to my faith-based talk on this, teaching on this. And I have a link in the bio. But for now, let's go on and talk about transformation. And my hope is that somebody may ask about faith-based, and I would love to have a discussion with you via comments or email or whatever it may be, however you can find me. My links are all over the place. So transformation is a process. It's a journey. And our goal is to transform ourselves into something that will last, right? Is we want to transform into something better than what we are currently. And so the illustration I like to use is grapes. Now, why do I use grapes? Because grapes, they don't last very long. They're perishable, as we call it. In my backyard, I have a grapevine, and the years that I do take care of my grapevine, because there are certain years I neglect it, but the years that I do take care of it, I get so many grapes. So many that I cannot eat them because they go bad. They're perishable. But then you can turn grapes into something. No, I'm not going to go talk about wine, but what I'm talking about is raisins. You can take grapes from grapes to raisins, from the perishable to the non-perishable. And so I thought about that example, and as we go on, that's what you want to do when you transform. You want to transform and get rid of old bad habits or your old self, something that shouldn't last, and they become perishable, into something that you want to make last forever. So those of you who know me know I'm big into fitness, right? Fitness is one area that you can do this in. Fitness is one area where you want to move to a body that is not fit into something that is fit. Can also be positivity. Having a positive mindset, something I'm big on. You can go from negativity, always being down, always being a negative person, to being a positive person. And there's also other things, that are life changing. When you get married, or maybe you want to go into your own business. These are all things that need transformation in yourself. And so when I take a look at transformation, I look at the 3 steps, right? As I studied how grapes become raisins, there are different methods. You can use an oven, I think a hydrator, or you can go out in the sun if it's really hot. But all 3 methods had the same 3 basic steps, which I'll go over quickly for you. First step, you got to wash them. You got to wash all the dirt and debris off the grapes. And so getting off the dirt and debris, that kind of reminds me of us getting rid of old habits. If you want to improve your fitness, your body, what do? You change the way you eat, right? You change your cravings, your old habits. Maybe you have too much fast food. Maybe you have too many sweets. Maybe you got a sweet tooth. Maybe too much of just bad eating. And so you change your eating habits. You want to be a positive person. You change your mindset, change your thoughts. And it's very interesting because once you wash these grapes, you know what they do? They decay faster. Like you're supposed to wash them off. I take my grapes off my grapevine and I wash them all because there's dirt and grit on them. They've been in my backyard for months and months. But then once I do that, they begin to decay a little faster. So the thing to remember is when we get these new habits and we're replacing good eating with bad eating, your old self starts to decay faster than if you did nothing. It's making way for the new habits. So it's a very important first step, very basic, important first step. Second step is you need fire or heat, right? Fire is what I call life, right? We go through life and life is like a fire. And I like that illustration because fire can be good. It's not all bad. You can cook. You can use fire for light. You can use it to keep you warm. So the basic necessities of fire can be good. But what else can it do? It can burn. Those of us in California, especially where I'm at, today is a smoky day. Air quality is bad. It's been bad for days, and it's going to be bad for more days to come. It's what we get used to here in Cali. Ugh. Anyway, I digress. Fire can burn too. It can get you, right? And so as you go through life and you're trying to change your old habits and you've been washed, right? And you're trying to get the old habits to decay faster. You're going to run across laziness, negative people, hard workouts that you just don't want to complete and finish. You're going to have cravings. And you're going to need to adjust because you may get burned a few times where you fall into your old habits, where you don't succeed. But guess what? You keep moving on. Listen to my podcast on perseverance. You keep persevering and you move forward, and those old habits will go away. And then lastly, the last step is time. You need to have patience, right? Because look, to be true, transformation is not going to happen overnight. Now, at the end, it will seem like it will be in the blink of an eye, right? Instantaneous, but it's a process. Like weighing yourself daily may not be a good idea. You may get discouraged. Having setbacks and falling off your plan and your progression. Don't get discouraged. Don't go all the way back to the starting line. Don't give up. Keep going. Transformation takes time. Your mind may not switch to positivity so fast. But if you keep at it and understand it will take time, your time and your transformation will soon come. Now, all 3 of these require to transform into what you want to be. Being washed, going under the fire, and waiting. Now, it helps again, like I said, whatever you believe in, God, karma, the universe, hold true to a solid foundation. I truly believe that God is the only solid foundation, but maybe something else is working for you. I would say I doubt it, but maybe something else is. But just remember, the very first thing to do is taking that first step. Those of you guys that are into fitness, or those of you guys who know how to walk, you have to take a first step. And I know if you know how to walk, you probably don't remember that first step you had to take, because as infants, you stand up and you try to walk after you crawl, and you fall down and you fall down until that day you take that first step. Same thing with me. Remember going into the gym, not knowing what I'm doing, just going and doing a full body workout day in and day out until that day I get more knowledge, more time, and I look and I see that I went through a transformation. So anyway, that's it for today. Just wanted to leave a quick note about transformation. It is a subject near and dear to my heart. I shared it, like I said, at a church last week as I was teaching. Wanted to share it with you guys. And be sure to check out my other podcasts. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. Please spread the word for others to listen. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.